Hello guys, my name is Lucas and welcome. Today we're going to be learning how to use our right click to use an item. In this example we're going to be making an HP potion, the one you see me drawing right now, and we're going to use it to heal our player after we receive some damage. Before we continue, I want to deeply thank my patrons in Patreon and all my subscribers. Thank you so much, I really appreciate your support. Now let's begin with this lesson. If you remember, when we pressed I in our game, you will see that our inventory comes up. And our inventory is very basic. We can drag things around, we can stack them together, and we can replace them with each other. So for today's lesson, the first thing we want to do is create our potion item. I'm going to copy one of the bracers and I'm just going to paste it inside one of the slots. So I create an empty game object, select that game object, paste my bracer, and delete the game object. That's how I paste things inside other objects. Now I have to reset the position because it belongs to another slot. Next we want to use the HP potion graphic that we made in Photoshop, but if you see, I can't drag it there. I need to make it a sprite first. So go to the import settings, texture type, and sprite 2D and UI. Apply it, and now we can drag this sprite into the source image. And there you go, you see it change. But if you notice, it's a little bit blurry, it's a little bit weird. So we need to make some adjustments in the input settings again to make it look like what we did in Photoshop. So first of all, why it's blurry is because Unity is applying a filter. So we want to use a point filter, which means no filter. And you will see immediately each pixel individually once again. But the color is still a little bit off from what we did in Photoshop. That is because of the compression. We want to change the compression to none. Apply that and you will see that right now it looks exactly like the original. Great, now we have a potion here. Let's go and change the name of this item. Remember, press F2 to quickly change the name to HP potion. So HP potion and the other items have this item script that we made in the past. And right now this item script only holds a quantity variable for telling us how many items are together stacked in one slot. We said we want to use the right click button to use this item. So for doing that, we're going to implement our iClickable interface. However, right now our iClickable interface does not have a method for on right click. So let's add one to it, void on right click. And this time I want to be a bit more specific, so I'm going to say is on right click down, because I want it to happen right at the moment when we pressed our right click. Now we go back to our item class and you will see there is an error here. And that's because we haven't implemented the interface. So you can go to the light bulb here and click on implement interface, and it's going to automatically generate the methods that you need to implement. So we're going to delete those exceptions, so nothing will happen when on left click, but on right click we're going to use our item. So let's make another function called use. I'm going to make it virtual so later we can override it from our potion class. Virtual void use, and on right click down we're going to call use. So right now we can try it by doing this, debug.log used item, and we print the name of the item, so just name. So we can actually try to use any item and this should appear on our console. But right now there is nothing calling our on right click down. If you remember, our on left click was being called from our input manager. So let's go to our input manager and make the call for the right click down. So this is the input manager class, and there's quite a bit of things that we have to do here. Because this here is not actually a 3D game object, it's a 2D UI element. So we're not going to be using raycast to get this item, but we're going to be using something that we did before, which is getting a raycast result from this pointer event data. So remember that before we could check if our pointer is over a UI object, we're going to make a very similar function, but instead of returning true or false, it's actually going to return a list with all the raycast results that we hit. So all the elements that we touch in our UI are going to be in that array, and then we can check if any of those elements in that array contains a iClickable. So let's begin by making that function. It's going to be very similar, but instead of returning Boolean, it's going to return a list of raycast result, and we can call it something like UI objects under pointer or something like that. You can be more creative with your naming, and it's basically the same function. This time it's going to return the results itself. So with this we can get all the UI objects under our pointer, which is our mouse, and we can use it here to check if there is any iClickable. This here is using physics raycast, so it's checking for 3D objects. Now we want to make the part for checking if it's iClickable on UI, and this should be inside here. So if we're actually clicking on a UI element, we're going to make a for each loop for all the elements in that array. So for each, and you can press tab to autofill this part here. So for each raycast result, we're going to call it result in, and we use the function that we made, UI objects under pointer. If result.gameObject.getComponent iClickable is not null, that means it has a iClickable type component, we are going to call the same again here and call the on left click. And why am I calling on left click? Well, because we're here if input.getMouseButton 0. For making the right click down, we need to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to copy all this here all the way to down here, and I'm going to paste it. And instead of using the left click, we're going to use 1 for the right click. Here we're going to call on right click down, and the same here for 3D objects on right click down. Our player is not going to attack this time because it's the right click, although our player could do something like block, and there you go. So right now when we press our right click, we're going to check if any UI objects are under our pointer. If there is, we're going to get all those objects under our pointer. We're going to loop through each of them, and if there is any of them that has an iClickable script, we're going to call the on right click down, and then we have to break because we just want to click the one on the top. So if there is one button on top of another button, we're not going to be calling all their functions together. Great, now we can go to our game and try to use some of these items. Oh, and before we can do that, you can see here there's some errors. This is because the iClickable classes that we have so far have not implemented the whole iClickable interface yet. So we're just going to go here and make public void on right click down. And there you go. We have to do the same for the NPC class. So you can also just click on this light bulb and implement the interface, and do the same for the NPC controller. Click the light bulb, implement interface. And there you go. Now we shouldn't have any of those errors, and we can try to use our items. So I can drag the items, and you see here, click over UI, and if I right click, use item bracer, use item potion. Oops, why can't we use the sword? There is a small problem here in our input manager. You see, we're checking for UI objects, but we're doing that inside our raycast function. So it only works if in our 3D space we actually raycast on top of something. Right now we were able to right click on these items because we were just barely raycasting on our floor plane, which it has a collider. This house, however, does not have a collider. So when I tried to use the sword, the raycast from my mouse didn't touch on any 3D object, and therefore it didn't even went past this part here, therefore not being able to call on right click down. To fix this, we just need to move this part here, check if we're clicking on UI, we need to move it up a little bit, right there, and align it back with our code. So we check for UI objects first, and then we check raycast for 3D objects. And I have some errors here. Oh, this here, else. So because we had an if before, now this is the first if of our code. And we should do the same here, of course, because otherwise it's not going to work for left clicks either. So we put it up there. You can use Shift Tab to push your code to the left, remove the else, remove some empty spaces, and there you go. Now if we try to use our sort, it should say you used item sort. So right click, use item sort, and now it's being called every time we right click on our items. So that's one good thing. Oh, we're attacking again, and that's because here you see we were clicking on our UI before and we were doing else we attack. Here we had this if here, so this if this happened, we didn't call this. So what we're going to do is put this back down a little bit, so put it down here, this if, and then this if, so it's going to be an else. So if we didn't actually touch anything in our UI, only then we're going to check for raycast in 3D objects. And same here, so if we're going to move it down a few rows, whoop, here, and this is going to be an else. And now it should be fixed. So if I play again, I'm going to click on my UI, and since I did that, I don't have to raycast for 3D objects, and whatever was inside, which is my player attack, is not being called. Great, now we prepared everything for us to use our HP potion. Now we need to create an HP potion script for our HP potion behavior. So let's go ahead and create a C# script. I'm going to call it HP potion. So open it up, and HP potion extends item. If you remember, I made a virtual function called use. So we can override it, public override, and you can see there use. We're going to call the base use, and we're also going to heal our player. So our HP potion, maybe we'll have large HP potions, small HP potions. They are going to heal our player differently based on this serialized field, float, healing amount. And for private variables, I like to use an underscore and a lowercase letter. So base.use, and then we're going to go ahead and player controller.main.heal player, or get healed, or something like that. Right now we don't have this function, so we're going to create it. Let's go to the player controller and go down. We have a function called set health. So we already have a function called get hit in our player controller. We're going to copy it and paste it here. Instead of damage, we're going to call this amount. This is going to be called get healed by this amount. We're not going to set an animation yet. If we're dead, we cannot get healed. So yes, we're going to return. We don't have to get stunned when we get healed, so we delete that too. And here, set health, we're going to do plus amount. And in our set health function, we're already checking if the health is greater than the total health, then we're just going to limit it to the total health of our player. So this function should be pretty much finished. Now back to HP potion, we have get healed by the amount, which is healing amount. And that healing amount is going to depend on which kind of HP potion you are using. Great, now we can actually try this. Let's go ahead, choose our HP potion, and instead of using the item script, like the default item script, we're going to use HP potion that we just created. We're going to set a healing amount, something like 5, and we're going to try. We can get some mummies out of the well. And there are the mummies. Let it hit us a few times, so I'm losing my health. Let me kill it. So now you see it's 22 out of 30. It's not very clear, but if I right click on my potion once, use item HP potion, and now you see it's 27 out of 30. And if I use it again, I'm back with full health. So we actually use the HP potion. There's still one problem with this, and is we can click unlimited times on our HP potion and we can heal as much as we want. So we need to destroy this when we use it, or we need to deplete it. So let's go again to our item class and make a public function called deplete. Quantity minus minus, and if quantity equals 0, then we're going to call game object dot destroy this game object, and that's it. So we're going to reduce the quantity, and if the quantity that we reduce all the way down to 0, we're going to get rid of this item. Now, I don't know which items are depletable, but I know my HP potion is. So when I use my HP potion, I'm going to call deplete. So now if I go again and play my game and right click on my HP potion, you will see it goes away because we used it. And also, if my HP potion quantity is something like 3, let's say, if I can use it once, twice, and the third time it's going to get destroyed. Oh, and my cat just came in to celebrate because we finished this video for today. We made an HP potion, we were able to use it to heal our player, and we depleted it from our inventory as we used it. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Yeah, I know it's been a while since my last upload, but I'm going to try to upload more videos during this week. Thank you so much to all of you for your support. It really means a lot. If you have any questions, please remember to let me know in the comments. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all on the next episode. Bye!